This is radical rigging of a midterm election, radical rigging of an election, destroying, vandalizing this democracy, the rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
So that's the sort of fighting language that Gavin Newsom has really been rolling out over the past couple of weeks, and it's certainly helped him out. And in this case, substantively, what he wants to do will help the Democrats, not only in California, but nationally, because he is taking the strategy of reciprocal gerrymandering. And that is what it is. If Texas is going to steal seats from the Democrats, then California, to maintain just the status quo we had previously, he has to do the same thing. And it is, in fact, reciprocal. Nobody thinks that California would be doing this if Texas hadn't started it. If you believe that, then go watch more Jesse Waters or whatever. Stop pretending that you're an active participant in a real political discourse. They wouldn't be doing it. And I don't like it, by the way. I don't want it to be necessary in California, but it is unfortunately necessary to start to roll back all of the variety of ways that we catalog every day that the Republicans are destroying America, turning it into this two-bit, just honestly, S-hole country, really, is what they're doing. We have to take back power. We cannot allow them to further rig it and make it even more difficult for the will of the people to translate into actual political outcomes. And that is the explicit stated goal of the Republicans. And so you have the reciprocal gerrymandering, which is, by the way, not even at the end of the day, the same thing as what the Republicans are doing. The Republicans are just, they took orders from Trump and then they voted on the state legislature. That's it. In California, it's gonna go to the actual people. You see, as we push for democracy, we're using democracy to do it. The Republicans aren't doing that. Again, the voters have always been an unnecessary annoyance to the Republicans, but it's not the same on our side. And I want to give you just a little bit more of Gavin Newsom hitting back against Abbott and the Republicans. He said, "Congratulations to Greg Abbott. You will now go down in history as one of Donald Trump's most loyal lapdogs, shredding our nation's founding principles. What a legacy." And again, look, it's true, but I don't know how much Greg Abbott cares. What was he previously a man of principle? And oh no, he's been compromised by Donald Trump. None of these people care about literally any of this stuff. They're there to make money. That's all it is. They don't care about the Constitution. They never did. American values doesn't even enter into it. They're not interested. And so now we get to the point where the California legislature is actually later today going to be voting on a newly drawn congressional map that should, in theory at least, reverse the 5-seat loss that this Texas move would result in. And Republicans here in California did try to stop it. They were not successful. The California Supreme Court rejected a petition that they'd put forward. They're saying that the court didn't explain its ruling, which they have a problem with here. Apparently when the Supreme Court's doing it on virtually everything, they don't mind that. They say this isn't the end of the fight, okay? It's an unconstitutional power grab. Well, would you like to take a look at what your party's doing? Because it doesn't seem as if you have much of a problem there. And again, here in California, at least, we're gonna let the people vote on it. It's not just a thing the party decided. They have to actually persuade the voters. Again, that's what a democracy is supposed to be about. And the Republicans, both here in California and in Texas, could learn that lesson maybe at some point. Yaz, what do you think?
You know, I think it's interesting that Gavin Newsom is the one to actually take on Trump, because I think a lot of leftists are a little thrown off by it. Like a lot of us would want someone much more progressive to have been the one to put Trump in his place, especially in this way, the way that he's doing it. Because we know Gavin Newsom, he's not as far left as a lot of people would like him to be. But I wonder if it had to be someone like Gavin Newsom to actually, in a meaningful way, take on Trump and his administration, because he looks like someone that Republicans would love to have on their side. He's well-spoken, he's good looking, he's a white guy. They can't get him on race or gender or class or anything like that, right? He has leveled the playing field as far as Republicans and their normal attacks go. And so on some level also, I think Republicans can only be trolled by one of their own, quote unquote, so to speak. Another thing that we're seeing coming out from Republicans, they're having a hard time combating all of this, because it's hard for them to be like, we don't like it when California gerrymanders their state to favor one party, but we're totally okay when Texas does it. especially when, as you mentioned, California is doing it in direct response to what Texas is doing, and Texas is doing what they're doing in direct response to what Trump asked them to do. So it's really not the same thing at all. So what they're trying to say now is that California is actually already wildly overrepresented in Congress, which we know is not true at all. California deserves way more representatives in Congress than they currently have based on population. But the rhetoric that's coming out now, especially from, I think JD Vance was saying it, is that a lot of California's population is actually, they're undocumented, they're non-voting people, so they don't count, they shouldn't count, and so we should actually be taking representation from California. And because of that fake fact that they made up, because of that, what California is doing is much more egregious than what is happening in Texas. So it's weird logic, but that's what they're telling their people, and no one is going to fact check him on whether or not California already has adequate representation in Congress or not.
Yeah, and specifically, like we can talk about the distribution of the parties in the House or whatever. California has 2 senators. That's insane. Yeah. I mean, that's everything you need to know about what I was talking about it earlier in the show. These are foundational, structural ways that our democracy is set up that produces outcomes that have nothing to do with what people actually want. California has as many senators as Oklahoma or whatever. No offense to Oklahoma or whatever, but that's insane. I mean, does anybody think, like, is there anything more consequential to the passage of legislation, to confirming Supreme Court justices than the fact that, okay, fine, let's leave Oklahoma alone. I grew up in Connecticut. Rhode Island has as many senators as California. That's obviously madness. It's one of the many ways that conservatives who just happen to come from these states that have basically no people in them, but still get 2 senators, have gotten way more representation for hundreds of years than other states. And so again, all of these are things that eventually need to be solved. But I'm glad that at least he's trying to do something at the state level for the House of Representatives. We'll see what happens in other states. I know that both sides are going to try to do this in as many as possible. The end goal of all this, the end game, independent redistricting commissions. That's gotta be the result of it. And by the way, we've been mentioning the fact that the people here are gonna vote on it. It's popular. 57% support the proposal, 35% are opposed to it, 8% are undecided. But it looks like it is likely to pass. And so Republicans, like, you can whine, bitch about it as much as you want. The people support it, okay? And again, your issue is always with what the people actually want. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?